Okay, we're recording. I'm going to hit go live in 3, 2, 1.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Me and Tom Schmidt are here. Going to talk about some storm damage over the weekend, specifically in the St. Louis area, after they saw quite a bit of damage. Just kind of taking a look at this aerial footage here that we're going to pull up for you here. This is just over in South City and Central West End were areas that got hit the worst back home. I want to shout out to everyone who reached out to me too, our viewers who were checking in to make sure me and my family were safe. That was really sweet. Everyone is accounted for and we're good. A lot of my family lives in the suburbs of St. Louis, so they were more west of that area, so we were fine. But I had a friend who lives not too far from the Central West End, and she watched the funnel cloud form before it touched down, just, I kid you not, a street over her. So it is just insanity to just see this level of damage. I mean, we haven't had in the St. Louis area that caliber of a tornado since the 2011 Lambert Airport tornado, which that was an EF4. And Tom and I were talking about that this morning. I was shocked that this wasn't an EF4. I think because this was only 152 miles per hour, and the Lambert one was 170 miles per hour. So that makes a lot of sense why, but I always felt there was more damage.
Yeah, so the scale, you look at like EF3, 136 to 165. And so that's kind of an EF3. And that's 150 mile an hour winds. That's pretty quick. And you can see just kind of the damage that takes on it. There are a lot of videos floating around social media where you'll see, my gosh, the one that caught my attention was that apartment building where the second floor just completely
that was nuts. Could you imagine, like, what if you didn't evacuate?
Oh my gosh!
You know, I'm so glad they weren't there. Maybe they were at work or they were taking shelter.
Yeah, hopefully they're down on the. That's why you don't want to be on the second floor. You want to be at ground level, if not underground, because those top floors, man, they're the first to go.
I mean, it just crumbled. Like it literally.
It just fell apart. It just like bloop.
Like a house of cards. Like
it
literally,
really was. Yes, a house of cards.
It was insane. And then I thought this was wild. If we pull up this next footage here, so the storm, it was a very fast-moving storm that went through St. Louis. There were people inside the arch when this was going on. Could you imagine? So that thing already feels like it's swinging back and forth when you're in the arch on a sunny day. But could you imagine you're sitting there in the arch and you're just watching this wedge tornado, because you could see it. I think it'll show it here in a second. But that wedge is just going through, because they said this tornado was about a mile wide. And then it lasted 22 miles, I believe, all the way from St. Louis City to Pontoon Beach in Illinois, kind of over by SIU. And I'm like, that's insane.
Big time storm. You know, that kind of raises the question. You look at a landmark like the St. Louis Arch. It's been there a long time, since the 60s?
Yes,
or
the 60s, yeah.
Has it ever been hit by a tornado before?
I'll have to look that up.
I know
definitely lots of lightning. The arch has been struck by lightning many a times. And there is like a weird thing called the arch effect in St. Louis. I don't know if many of you heard about it, but typically storms will come in from the west and they'll be really strong. And then they'll weaken by the time they get to St. Louis. And then they'll strengthen again going over into Illinois. But this wasn't the case this time. The arch effect clearly did not work this time. So it's just that. But I've seen that many times as a kid growing up, where we've had those insane, wicked storms. So a lot of people think, does St. Louis get tornadoes? Is this normal? I mean, it is. It's this time of year. I mean, like Tom, we were talking earlier today, this is the most active week for this type of weather.
It is, climatologically, this is it. I mean, if you're talking a week that just like this 7-day period, about May 18th to May 25th, that is when this is the busiest week for severe weather in this area.
Yeah.
Because most storms, most severe weather, most tornadoes happen typically, looking back at the history books, now.
Right. I go back to the 2011 and 2013 outbreaks. It was around this time, because I want to say Joplin was around this time.
May 22nd,
And then 2013, we had a tornado outbreak. Of course, you were in Oklahoma, the Moore tornado. We had two. My high school graduation was delayed because the Family Arena in the St. Charles area, there was a tornado that hit around there, and we had to put a pause on a lot of graduations, like Francis Howell, a lot of the school districts. So this can happen. It's crazy, but it's always tell people why it's so important to pay attention to the weather app or our forecasts. And our biggest thing is we want to keep you all safe. I mean, you can see here This is in St. Louis, the wedge right there. And you can still see the skies are a little bit green there. And then, just the trees on the cars. Whew. I know. I was talking to Abby Palmer. She was one of our photogs here at Color Time before. She's now at our sister station, KTVI, Fox 2 in St. Louis. And I was talking to her this week, and I just wanted to make sure she was okay. And she was covering a lot of this, I believe, is some of her footage. And it's just, she said it was hard to see these people lose everything.
It is. And that's that's one of the things that happens. A tornado goes through town, especially a very populated area. A lot of folks are going to be impacted by it. I mean, it's like the Joplin tornado, of course, that's an extreme, huge, massive tornado. But if you go back to even like the Battlefield tornado, the EF3.
Right, they caused quite a bit of damage.
Went through town. I mean, it's not just a couple houses here and there. It's like a city block.
Yeah, this was just shy of an EF4. This was an EF3 too. And I mean, when I covered the Rolla tornado that happened back in March, that was only an EF2 technically. I think it was just shy of an EF3, but we watched and saw, I witnessed firsthand people who lost everything, like those business owners who I talked to. And I remember I was talking to Charlie Sue. She was a really sweet girl. I kid you not, when she was in Salem, a year to that date, a tornado or severe weather affected her business. And then again, the second time in Rolla, I'm like, that is insane how that works. But
that was a good story.
They're doing good, and it was good to know that people, no matter what, like even with all of this happening, I think the most beautiful thing is seeing all the community come together and help people out. We see in St. Louis where I saw that the St. Louis public schools are going to be sending the students home with sack lunches all throughout the week. So families who are in need of food, Convoy of Hope here in the Ozarks, they're responding. They're sending crews out there, donations, and there's ways that you can help, and I can also post more about that later on here. But here's some more stuff. Of course, the hail.
Yes. So what we want to do now is kind of talk about, storm safety. So the St. Louis storms, and we had some storms here locally and some tornadoes in southern Missouri also from that. But the big one was the St. Louis tornado.
Yeah, of course.
And, that was Friday. We had some severe weather, Sunday off into Kansas and Colorado and Oklahoma. Well, now we're looking at more storms today.
Yeah, today's going to be
another
busy.
A big round of storms coming for today. So we like to say, we said it this morning, you want to be prepared, not scared. And so some storm safety tips. Let's just run through them, right? What do you want to do? What do you want to know before storms arrive?
Of course. I would say, too, make sure you have a plan in place. I would say the best thing to do,
That's the biggest thing.
Definitely want to be prepared. Just Tom was saying, be prepared, not scared. Some things you want to focus on, too. Maybe you get to the centermost part of your house or underground, of course, in the event of a tornado. Get away from windows. Do not go outside, okay? No. I know that's the typical Midwest thing we want to do, but if you see a tornado, no, we're just not going to do that. I would say green means go. Because that's when the skies get green, and that's your kind of your moment.
Your sign to go. Green means go. Yes. I like that. Okay.
Always good stuff to watch out for. In your kit, make sure you have like a first aid kit, maybe some blankets, extra non-perishable food items, water.
Yeah, water's
good
important.
Shoes, gloves.
Yeah, flip-flops and sandals are no good. You want to have closed-toed shoes. Boots be best.
Yeah, have a little radio. Hand. Make sure
weather radios are good to have. You want to have a portable phone charger and make sure your phone is charged up. Keep your phone charged today. Because these days, if you lose power, you can't watch your TV anymore, but you can still watch a stream on your phone. And we'll be streaming too for live coverage.
Yeah, of course.
Here, Facebook, and also on our website for storm coverage if it comes to that. So you can find us here too. So have your phone with you. Make sure it's charged up with a full battery, and have your secondary battery pack, your portable charger, also fully charged and ready to go.
I would say, too, in the case of if you do need to go to a shelter, kind of have that plan in place, too. We have a full list of storm shelters from all across the Ozarks, no matter what county. Bethany's actually going to be talking about this for her story during midday, but kind of talking about that of, there are storm shelters at schools, but they can't go in the storm shelters until school is let out.
Right. And so this will be probably an after-school timing. So it should work out. And, look at it. If you live in a mobile home, or maybe you're RVing and you're here in the Ozarks,
don't risk it.
Just know where to go and leave early.
Yeah.
If you're in a mobile home, I would encourage you to frankly make plans now to not be in your mobile home this evening. Don't risk it. And those things are just traps. Even when you have winds of 70 miles an hour is all it takes, and you start to see those things tumble. And it's dangerous. So have a place to go. Take shelter. Mobile homes are great. 99% of the year, they're just fine. But then that 1% time of the year when it's stormy, you just want to get out.
Yeah, I would say type it to what's great about the Ozarks First Weather app is we have the radar, and you can kind of time it out a little bit if you see storms entering the viewing area. Of course, when there's a watch or a warning, you kind of can time it out better. But again, as we can constantly keep saying until we're blue in the face, it's always going to just be ready before.
Be ready.
Yeah,
weather
be
aware.
Prepared, not scared. Always.
No. And
very
stay
good
engaged.
information.
Don't unplug. Like maybe you get home from work at like 4 o'clock early or 4 or 5, and you're just like, oh my gosh, what a Monday it was. I just don't even want to do anything anymore. Well, you just got to pay attention. Yeah. Keep your phone close and have ways to receive warnings. I mean, turn up the sound on your phone before bed tonight, because it'll be, beginning at maybe 5 p.m. in the west, but we're looking at several rounds. It's not a one and done storm thing, right?
Yeah.
It'll be a storm after another for a couple hours going into tonight.
I know for sure Tom's going to be coming in early, technically not tomorrow, but
midnight.
And also I'll be on standby too, because typically anchors will kind of rotate out just to make sure that we're safe.
Can't do it all.
And because we got to give him, some time to breathe.
All hands on deck.
Right, and because we're also contacting, the Office of Emergency Management, staying on top of damage reports coming in, making sure everybody's safe. Of course, flooding could be an issue too. Also, we've been saying this nonstop. Turn around, don't drown, do not go through that. Of course, if there's any down power lines, don't even try to drive through that or walk around that. Very dangerous. Do not touch it. Just so many things to think of. But of course, like we tell this, not to scare people, but just to be weather aware. It's so important to know that this time of year.
It is important. You just want to get the messaging out there. You want everyone to know. If you're doing something this afternoon, fine. Go enjoy your plans. Yeah. But just know that it's going to get stormy later. Yeah. So enjoy it for as long as you can, but just be checking your phone every once in a while. Yeah. Check the radar. See, okay, our storm's developing yet. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. No. I live in Springfield. Do we have time to be outside, or we're going to dinner later tonight, Monday night? Right. We need to check for the weather before we go, or should we cancel it? I mean, those are things you're going to have to make up your own mind on tonight.
Absolutely. And of course, this hail here that we're seeing here, Tom, I mean, man, that makes me happy that I have a garage.
Yes.
I do not want any hail damage for my car. It's never fun.
Hate it. See, I park my car outside every stinking storm day. Makes me so nervous. I'm like, okay.
You've been lucky, right? You've been good?
Been lucky. Knock on wood. Haven't anything big. Nothing big has done any damage yet. Yeah. But you know what? If you can, that's another thing. Move the car to the garage tonight. Park it under a tree. Maybe. That's kind of risky because maybe the tree branch falls in your car, right?
You're kind of picking your
you got to watch out. I know. That's a little risky.
That is tough because, again, I used to park my car on the street, and I remember when I finally got a garage spot for my car, that was one of the best things I could have done, especially during the winter time, during the ice, but especially now it was the threat of tornadoes, hail, down power lines, any of that. I can keep my car safe from that is always very important to do so.
Peace of mind.
Yeah. What are some tips for hail safety besides, putting the cars away? I know too, if you're driving, you always kind of want to pull over. So again, like your glass doesn't shatter if you're driving on the highway.
Yes. That's a big part there. Pull over. People like to stop under overpasses, but they sit in the middle of the daggum road. Get out of the way. Right. Get to the shoulder. Don't stop in the middle of the road. Yeah. Get on the ditch. If you're going to slow down or stop, pull to the side.
Right. And have the emergency flashers on too.
Turn your hazards on.
Always good to have those on, yeah.
For hail safety in general, though, I mean, it's kind of the same thing as a tornado, especially if you're talking big hail. And today there's going to be a potential for some big hail, golf balls to baseballs, across portions of southwest Missouri. So when you have that paired with winds of 70 miles an hour, it's blowing in at an angle, right? So it can crash into a window. So you want to get away from windows. If you're in your living room, maybe you're sitting next to the window in the kitchen or something, move away. Yeah. Move inside the house. Move to the other side of the couch.
Yes.
Because hail can break a window. It will. It comes in.
Yeah. I know we saw that firsthand with a lot of storms that we've had. And I know a couple times I came in on the weekend and I helped cover, they were doing storm coverage, I think in Buffalo, where same thing, where either just hail that came through like that, or even tree limbs went through their roof or their windows, and just the scary times.
The bottom line is, I mean, whenever it's a storm day like this, you really just want to move to the interior part of the home, inside. And so if it's just wind and hail, I mean, you don't have to get underground or, get in the closet necessarily like you do with a tornado. But you do want to get away from windows, and you just get like 10 feet away. Move inside. Get inside the house.
I've always wondered this too. I've seen growing up, a lot of people, if they don't have a basement, they'll go in their bathroom, of course, if there's a tornado, and they'll take their mattress and put it over them. Is that a safe way, or could that also be dangerous too? I've always wondered.
That is safe. It's fine.
It is safe,
a mattress, basically, if you're caught in debris, it'll just protect you from being hit by something. Something else you can have too is bicycle helmets.
Oh yeah, good point.
Get a bicycle helmet or some kind of hard hat, anything. You just kind of help.
Glasses to prevent anything getting in your eyes.
Just think about covering yourself up, protection. If you're going to have, if you're in a tornado, this is all that this is for. Yeah. If you're in a tornado, tornado safety is just, got to remember, a lot of it is caused, the damage-wise, is to people, injuries, is caused from the debris, from stuff being thrown around, whether it be wood, glass, rock, bricks in your house being tossed your direction. Layer up. Glasses.
And this is why they say not to park under an overpass if you are driving in a storm and there's a tornado nearby. Do not get under a bridge, because that's where, unfortunately, again, that debris is going through there, and
it just kind of gets funneled in.
Because the suction get real dangerous.
Really just pulls it through.
This reminds me of when you're in elementary school or in school, when tornadoes would hit, or you do the tornado drills and you go out in the middle of the hallway and you do the duck.
Yeah, exactly. Duck and cover. Where do you put your hands? You put them behind your head.
You want to protect your neck and your head and all that stuff. It's, those things that you learn as a kid, you carries with you to an adult, and it's so important to have that.
You don't forget them.
You never know.
No.
But all right, folks. Well, again, stay safe out there tonight. We have so much weather aware, safety prepared tips on our website. Tune into midday. We're going to be talking more about storm shelters and making sure the sirens are tested. We've been double checking with that with the Office of Emergency Management. That'll be Bethany's full story today, so check that out. Also, again, if you need a storm shelter to go to, head to ozarksfirst.com. We'll have that. And then last final thing too, there is the Ozarks First weather app. Download that. You can get that on any phone. You'll have it right here at your fingertips, which is great to have, of course, with the radar and those warnings and alerts coming in at real time. So again, folks, be careful today. We will keep you fully updated as the storms all develop.
Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday, folks.